Hey guys, it's Purple Ferret here. Today's video is of the art I made for the 12th anniversary of FNaF's release. I know this video is a week late, but the art was made and posted on time on my Tumblr, so it's fine. It would have been uploaded closer to the anniversary if it weren't for me posting every 2 weeks and last week being only 1 week from my last post. On the bright side, I get to talk about what we got for the anniversary instead of having no idea about it. I can speculate with what was teased, and I think that's a fair trade-off. First off, the real location announcement took me by major surprise. I assumed we'd never get to see a real Freddy's location. In fairness, I made that assumption back in 2016, even before Sister Location was out. So I've been holding on to that assumption for about a decade. I did dream that there would be a real one day, but I never really thought we'd get one. Ironically, it's being built in the American Dream Mall, so dream. And that mall isn't very close to where I live. It's a doable distance for a trip, so I do plan on visiting it one day after it opens. It's a permanent location, so I don't have to go right when it opens. I also don't have to worry about missing my chance to go because I might not have the opportunity to go right when it's open, so knowing that I don't have to rush is nice. I honestly thought if we ever got a real Freddy's that it'd be a short amount of time and then closed after a few months. A limited time only experience type thing. It was a pleasant surprise to both find out that we are getting a real Freddy's and that it's permanent. It'd be nice if I could go within its first year of being open because I don't want to wait too long to go. But I don't see myself going right when it opens just because it'll be extra busy at that time and I might not have the ability to go. Now, the next thing that I saw was the Vanny teaser, and it glitched out and showed a new design of her, which I really like her design, even if it's a little hard to see what's going on. The glitches are not helpful for that, but I'm sure we'll get to see the render by itself eventually. I honestly think my favorite part is the long bow on the back of her neck because it's big, and then also it has the two tails of the ribbon go all the way down her back, and it's just the only pop of color aside from her eyes, and I think that's awesome. Her mask being light and her body being dark weirded me out at first, but then I thought about how it would look in game and I changed my mind completely. She's not going to be well lit when we see her most likely, so just imagine a floating head in the shadows. That's what she'll look like, and that's awesome. And the best part about that is her mask is creepier than the original Vanny's. Even the AR mask, which is technically the original one, both of those Vanny mask designs lean cutesy, which is kind of what FNaF kind of leans towards, which would make sense if Vanny was a mascot that was actually meant to be trusted in some way. But since Vanny is not a Freddy's mascot, it doesn't make sense for her to not be creepy. It's also very much giving Glitch Trap in terms of creepiness, which I love. Honestly, her mask design is getting me really excited, and I feel very optimistic about how horror is going to play into the game, because FNaF is a horror series, but people were really disappointed with Security Breach. I was less disappointed with Security Breach not being scary because it was the first free roam FNaF game that wasn't a fan game, and it was the first free roam horror game I had ever played. I do own Bendy, but I hadn't played it because I chickened out chapter 1 because I just couldn't handle it for some reason. In fairness, I was a kid at the time, but Security Breach, considering the aesthetics of it aren't that scary, and a lot of spaces aren't remotely scary, I was able to build up a tolerance for horror and free roam horror as a concept. So I have since played Bendy, and the part that scared me before, not scary at all to me now. And so for me, I have a soft spot for Security Breach not being scary, but I know a lot of people are still upset about how tame it was. I know we literally just got news, but I'm anxiously awaiting the next bit of news about the new game because I'm very excited. I know it won't be for a while, but I'm curious who we'll play as. There's not really enough information to go off of to guess that correctly right now. My guess is maybe Vanessa if we're playing as an adult. It's implied that this is a different Vanny independent from Vanessa, considering Princess Quest seems to be the canon ending. If we're playing as a kid, I don't think it'd be Cassie. I'd love to be wrong because I love Cassie, but playing as either a new kid who has no idea what's going on or as Gregory makes more sense if we're playing as a kid. It honestly makes sense to play as a clueless stranger if we're an adult too, but Vanessa dealing with another Vanny is just too cool of a concept for me to bet on a stranger. So, it ultimately doesn't matter who we play as yet. I think the gameplay will be less linear than Ruin, considering we did get Fetch Quest free roam twice, and Secret of the Mimic's Fetch Quest was so much better than Security Breaches. So I think it'll be done well in the new game. I have to admit, I was blindsided by the Mega Cat Studios announcement for multiple reasons. I thought Steelwool was the only studio going to make an announcement game-wise. I also thought that if they were going to tease anything, it'd be another Frights Book series game. Like, I think they wanted to do Fetch next. So if anything, when I heard they had a post teasing something, I thought it was going to be Fetch. But turns out, we're getting what appears to be FNaF World 2. No names have been said for either game, but it looks like we're getting FNaF World 2 and Security Breach 2. I'm hopeful that FNaF World 2 will include all the animatronics that have been released post FNaF World. The original didn't have the Fun Times, the Scrap animatronics, the Rockstar animatronics, and that's just 3 sets right there, and we're not even in the Steelwool era. The Trap and Vanny aren't animatronics, but they could be added potentially also because you also had the Paper Pals and 8-bit purple guy and stuff. I'd also love to see Jackie as an adventure animatronic. I just think she'd look really cute. Also, I wonder if the old music will return or if it'll be all new. I hope they have some of the old tracks because that music is so iconic and linked with the aesthetic of FNaF World that I feel like they have to at least have samples of it in the tracks they do. I also want to know how tied in with the lore it will be. The original FNaF World is tied to the lore, but Scott said that he regrets that because the game isn't as polished as he wants it to be. But presumably having the sequel made by Mega Cat, it will be polished. Also, the flip side could easily tie in with the Vanny mask with the glitches and stuff. Not sure how canon the game will be since Into the Pit is a separate continuity as far as we know, and Mega Cat made that. I personally hope it does tie in with the lore because it could give us answers about the Sky era games or fill in the gaps of what happened with the Mimic in F10 and 4 between Secret of the Mimic and Ruin. The new Steelwool game might have answers about the Mimic's journey, but I don't see it covering missing pieces about the Aftons and Emilys. It just feels like something that's too far removed from current events to be relevant. Speaking of current events, I haven't spoken about the art at all so far. Last year I didn't record my recording process when I made my art for the 11th anniversary, so I don't remember exactly how long it took me, but I remember saying it took me 4 hours. Looking at it compared to this year's, which took me 4 hours and 25 minutes, I think I got faster. Last year's was just a colored sketch for fun that slowly got more elaborate, but this year I actually came in with half a plan. I was originally going to have Glamrock Freddy and Roxanne holding the cake, but I pivoted right before I started drawing to having Classic Freddy instead because that makes more sense. Plus it makes it kinda similar to the one I drew last year since it's the classic and Glamrock version of an animatronic. Last year it was Chica. There was no cake last year though, just the puppet. That was because I actually drew the puppet first and I didn't account for the cake in the composition at all, so slapping it on would have felt a little weird. Funny thing, I actually wrote a pseudo script for this video. I'm not sure if it feels like it on your end, but it has shortened my recording sessions by a lot. This is especially important because my AC is still broken and my laptop will overheat if I use it too long. This is recording session 4, by the way. I do still have to record it in sessions, but I don't lose my train of thought because I have a script and I don't need to break as many times per video. I was breaking like 20 plus times last video. The AC hopefully won't be an issue next video, but I would like to continue using a script anyway. I have always known that prep work would make my life easier, but I avoided it until I really needed it, and it's been a big help. It just started thundering outside and it got very dark in my room. It's only noon, but I have the light off because it, creates heat and stuff. And so I just became very painfully aware of how dark it was in my room very suddenly. That was a big one. I really hope the power doesn't go out because even though I'm not using the lights, I would very much like to continue using the power. Okay, so this is me an entire hour later. Thundering got really bad and my dog started freaking out, and so I spent my time calming him down, and it's still storming out, but it's not thundering, so I'm good to record now, I guess. Anyway, back on topic. I did something new in terms of coloring this piece. I typically only use 2 layers to color my art. One is the silhouette and a flat color I use as a clipping mask. And then I have 1 layer on top for the base color and shading. And I use that to color the sketch and the final line art. This time I ended up leaving my original color layer alone and creating 2 more. I put the shading color down first, and then on the layer above I painted in the light with the real color. This made the lighting of the piece a bit easier to manage because the only light source is the candles. I've been doing this in some of my personal just for fun sketches on my own time. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent change to my workflow, but I like it for this piece. I've run into the same problem I have when I just talk into the microphone, and that is I've run out of things to say. I've explained things about the process and I've speculated about the new game teasers. I mean, I didn't talk about... This is a little late in the video to mention, but I did plan on writing Happy Fazbear Birthday in reference to the audio files of Roxy and Freddie singing that like off-brand birthday song. That's originally why I was going to include Roxy, but then I changed my mind. I was going to keep the text the same though, but there wasn't enough room to have Fazbear in the foreground and it not cover everything. And both of the Freddies covered it when I put it in the background, so I think it was ultimately the right decision leaving it out. I honestly should have planned where the text should go before I started drawing, but I did say that I started with half of a plan, so I think I did pretty alright with that in mind. I've been in a major FNaF mood since the whole announcement, so I think my next video will also be FNaF related. The next 2 after that I have plans for, so those aren't going to be. So I guess I'm just going to let August be FNaF month, at least video-wise. Could also be Tumblr-wise, but I do have to post my last video's art still. It should be up by the time this video's out, but I'm not sure about that. I will definitely be posting my FNaF doodles that I've been drawing since the announcement, so those should be up there too. And after editing all that down, I find out that we have made it to the end of the video and don't have so much else that I have to say to fill time. Finally! I really hope you all enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making the art and doing the voiceover because I got to speculate a little and that was very fun. I do like how the sketch was when I finished it, and I could have, in order to stay more in line with last year's, I could have left the sketch the way it was and posted it, but I felt like it deserved better considering I came in with the intention to make something to show versus last year I was just drawing to draw. I appreciate if you watched this far, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!